Just a moment.
The story of Neverending Nightmares actually begins with a radically different game, Retrograde. Matt Gilgenbach, head of Infinitap Games, spent 4 years making Retrograde, only to see it become a critical success, but catastrophic commercial failure. Since then, Matt has channeled his personal battles with various mental health issues, including depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and thoughts of self-mutilation into this game, funded in its final days on Kickstarter. In an effort to make the game the backers wanted, he has since posted several developer diaries and over 100 updates, on top of posting regularly on the Infinitap Games forum. Needless to say, he's kind of a nervous wreck as Neverending Nightmares launched recently on Ouya and Steam.
Obviously, I'm nervous as all hell, you know, about the reviews, and I'm second-guessing everything I ever did, and right now I'm beating myself up about the branching paths. They're too hard to find, or you don't find the right ones in the first try, and oh.
Now it's time to see if all that work paid off. The game recommends using headphones, and for a good reason. A lot of work went into the sound design for the game, creating stereo ambient tracks with various sound cues coming from all directions, as well as sound effects for various enemies. Yes, there are enemies to deal with, and you're as helpless against them as you are against waking up in another nightmare. The game isn't unfair about dealing with them though. There are checkpoints seamlessly integrated into the game's progression in the form of side rooms at the beginning of certain areas, and I love that the game doesn't have any kind of overlay or loading or saving messages to distract from the environment it's trying to create. Well, aside from the Steam notifications, I guess. The game's black and white art style serves not just to set the tone and, kind of like Mad World on the Wii, emphasize the presence of blood, but it also makes clear what items you can interact with, some of which are used in puzzle solving or escaping certain enemies. You could try just running, but since you're playing as an average guy in a nightmare, almost everything is faster than you. You are helpless, as it should be considering you're in a goddamn nightmare. The game's environments and ways of creeping you out change as you progress and start overlapping each other at points. And this is the part which I really can't show because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who might pick this game up. Well, okay, here's one example. You're still in your home, but parts of an insane asylum keep showing up. And yes, there's a good reason I'm not showing what the protagonist looks like. Speaking of, here's the general synopsis of why you're in these nightmares to begin with. You play as Thomas Smith, and you're dealing with a series of nightmares surrounding your sister, Gabrielle, and what you may or may not have done to her. Each of the 3 endings to this series of nightmares presents radically different possibilities for what actually happens, as evidenced by my receiving a message from River City Gamers member Angel Halo as I'm typing this review, saying he got a completely different ending and branching path from my playthrough. I consider myself to be pretty jaded when it comes to horror or survival horror games, but I was genuinely bothered by some of the things presented in Neverending Nightmares, not just because of some of the imagery and themes associated with the issues of the creator. Like this, for instance. I'm usually an intrepid explorer when it comes to any game that has side rooms to enter and windows to look through. By the time I was halfway through this game, I all but stopped searching for them and tried to make the nightmare end as fast as possible. To me, that feeling of unease, of not wanting to see what's behind each door or outside each window, that is what real fear is like. Not flinching when something flashes on the screen for a moment.
Nothing, sorry, I just startled myself.
So if you're looking for a change of pace in horror games and don't mind the possibility of a game digging up old wounds that you may have forced yourself to forget you had, I'd recommend Neverending Nightmares. Assuming you can keep the voices at bay. Wait. Oh shit, did I just say that out loud?